Okay, so here's a practice video for the sellers staying in control. Now, this is the Euro USD on the 60-minute time frame, and let's take a look at how this thing pans out. So remember from the previous video that we saw that for the sellers to maintain control, we must first understand when the buyers ended. Okay, so as we can see from the left of our screen, the buyers were coming up really strong here. They maintained their grounds, they went higher, made higher highs, higher lows, until they stopped making higher highs and the rollover happened. So when they stop making their higher highs and the rollover happened, notice the breach point is here. If that's the breach point, you mark that area and be like, okay, that's the breach point. Below here is seller's territory. It's all seller's area. So seeing sudden green bars come in like this does not mean the buyers have the ball. It means the sellers are still maintaining grounds. Okay, so the seller's still maintaining grounds here again and again and again and again. And at this point, it may seem like, whoa, he stopped making lower lows and looks like the buyers are coming because he's breaching above this line. But notice, he never crosses his previous high. He never crosses the previous high, which means the ground still maintains as, looks like the seller still has the ball in his hand. Okay? The market keeps holding until it drops further down. Now, when it drops further down, it breaches the next spot, which is, all of this area here, right? And it maintains grounds below it. Now, in this grounds below it, as I'm going to move the charts further, notice how it looks like, isn't that a little higher high, higher high, higher low? Yeah. But what happened to this overall sequence? If you're aware of this overall sequence, you have a very clear understanding that the sellers still are in control. So anyone going in for the buys has to be very quickly exiting their positions because the sellers are going to be coming back. Okay? So when you see the information like this, you're like, okay, the sellers still have control. The buyers are making their moves. They get up to here, and then the buyers start crashing down again. And the sellers keep maintaining their grounds. Okay? Once the breach happens yet once again, you can put your line back down to here, and it's a bit confusing now. Well, did he breach it or not? Because he looked like he just got back. But whether he breached it or not, this is his recent high. Okay, as long as it doesn't breach that, the sellers are still in control. Okay, so let's see that further in. Okay, he's challenging that area, and now the breach has happened, and that's when the seller switches to the buy mode. Okay, so this is a very general concept of buyers and sellers. You need to keep track of this because people generally, what happens is, as they're looking at this sell zone, that this is seller territory, they get caught up in the thing that shows up on the right side of their screen, and they're like, that must be a buy. That must be a buy. Look at it. It just keeps going. For the last 24 hours, it's been going up. It must be a buy. Okay? Or the markets are turning around. And then when this big green candle happens, everyone eventually jumps in on the buy, out of impulse. And once that impulse happens, the sellers start dominating again. So we'll get into techniques of how to deal with impulses as well in our future lessons. But this week, we just want to complete master the difference between the buyers and sellers. So let's go on to the next example of sellers.